Hey there, how's it going? I'm Carol Lund. I am a senior here at Sam Houston State University, hopefully graduating in the fall. I'm getting my bachelor's degree in healthcare administration. As of current, I am a flight attendant for Southwest Airlines, so I don't have a huge plan currently to use my degree right when I graduate, but if I did, it definitely would be something in a hospital setting, either healthcare administration or healthcare management. I think that would be really cool. I have been exploring maybe doing both, healthcare administration during the week and then flight attending on the weekends, because I do have a big passion and interest in both of them. The video that I had chosen to watch for this second LinkedIn Learning assignment is Human Resources, Leadership, and Strategic Impact. So since I was an assistant service manager at HEB, leadership has always interested me. I don't want to necessarily be in leadership roles a whole lot anymore, but I definitely am interested in the topic of leadership. So it caught my eye because I was interested in how leadership and strategic impact is seen in the HR side of the world. So this video starts out with saying, like, as far as your HR strategy in your organization, do you want to be the same as everyone out there, or do you want to be different and have different results as far as your retention rates and the people you're hiring, the success of your business? And it talks about the different ways of how organizations run together. And I honestly probably couldn't have chosen a better video because so much of this video's examples were airline related, talking about Boeing and Airbus, and I was like, oh, it's like kind of speaking stuff I know about here, kind of related very well, which was really cool. So speaking of which, it was talking about different strategies for like customer engagement and how you can have different goals as other organizations. And so one of the examples they used that wasn't airline related was like Disney themed parks versus any other amusement parks and how they're different. So like when you go to Disney, you're going to Disney World or Disneyland, you definitely are expecting it to feel like a little bit more magical. There's a lot of like songs playing, you're looking at the characters, which are more like princess related. These rides are more rides versus like thrillers. Versus if you go somewhere like Six Flags, or use an example of a park in here that I just honestly didn't know, but you would expect to have the park to be noisy, for there to be a lot of really loud rides, for the ground to be shaking. So when you think about who you're hiring for those positions for the park engineers, you definitely are hiring for different things for Disneyland than you would for these other amusement parks. That was really cool, a cool example to think about. They also talked a lot about pivotal parts of an organization as far as employees go, and recognizing that in an organization, not every single person is ultimately the most important. Everyone is important, they do play a role. So going back to Disney World and Disneyland, they're talking about the park sweepers. The park sweepers are really important. They are helping keeping the park clean for the guests that go there, but that's not really what the guests are focused on once they get there. They're focused on the characters that are creating the customer engagement, that are creating the memories for people to want to keep coming back, and it's just hiring different people for different needs within different organizations. So as far as the HR perspective of it goes, I also wrote a note that said not every person that applies to the job in which you're hiring is going to be your target audience, or who you want really applying for the job. Changing the strategy in which you're taking candidates can help you put the right person in the right role. So that being said, another example that was in this video was when TV and like infomercials were starting to take their statistics of who's watching their videos, and at what times they were noticing at like 3 a.m. there was a large demographic of like older people who were buying like bedazzled phone cases and stuff like that. So the target audience for these commercials was definitely not the older generation. They were buying it for their teens, which is who the target audience was. So it's a matter of, is your application or is your system reaching the right people at the right time to put the right people in the right jobs? Because not every person is the right fit for every job there. Let's see what else I have here. Yeah, so another example that was talked about was like a chain link in there. And so a lot of people get asked the question, like, what's the most important chain link in chain segment in the chain link. You know what I mean? And a lot of people would argue that it's every chain, it's every link. Every link is important, and every link is the strongest. Everyone needs to be treated the exact same and have the same responsibilities in this. And while in some places that can be true, like for example, when I used to work at HEB, that was really important, was that we did treat all of the cashiers exactly the same. Maybe not compensation and benefits wise, but you are expected to have the same goals, to reach the same stats, to have the same exact certifications and everything. And so transferable to flight attending here now, it is really important. But I would argue that the pilot's job is 10 times more important than mine, as far as the need being for the plane to get places. So I'm not going to make as much or have the exact same benefits as the pilots, and that's just understandable. Not everyone is held at the same level or hold the same level of importance based off of like what you're looking at. So that's an important thing to keep in mind as far as your HR strategy and whenever you are hiring. I think my favorite example from this video, it's airline related, was when they were talking about Airbus versus Boeing and putting in kind of when you're trying to be competitive as far as your product and your market and your people and what you're getting out there. So Airbus had created, and I don't remember the model, those really big double-decker planes to fit a lot of people, but they don't go very far. And Boeing had created the 787, I think, that holds a little bit of more people, not as the Airbus, but than some of the other models, but it goes a lot further. And that's what people are looking for, is to be able to make the distance to different places. So choosing the right strategy for your product to get people where they need to go, to make sure that you have the right jobs and the right people in there, to make sure that your business is still kind of successful as far as that leadership and HR goes. As far as the applicability to what I do now, those examples were applicable to what I do now, but in my specific role, I don't HR strategize. I'm not necessarily in leadership unless we fly a certain position, and even then our jobs are kind of, everyone needs to do their job. It doesn't function if people aren't doing their job. So there's not a whole lot of strategy there, but I definitely can understand how they hire flight attendants and the criteria that they're looking for. And it's sometimes physical criteria, and sometimes it's the experience that you have and everything like that. So it was really cool to see that there definitely is, they're looking for a certain demographic of age and capability of people. I can see how that would be really applicable, but it was really interesting to learn, especially if I do end up going into something healthcare related, how it might be beneficial to understand that you're hiring a certain person to get a certain job done, and not just anyone who is willing to pick up the job. Well, I hope you enjoyed me talking for a really long time. Okay, see you later.